What's going on, guys? This is Brian from Advancement Hockey Advising here, and today we'll be talking about how to create a solid highlight video that'll maximize your chances of getting recruited. So on this channel here, we've brought up time and time again how important creating a really solid highlight video is to get recruited, right? We've brought it up a bunch of times, but unfortunately we never really dived into the details as to, what to include in it and all that kind of stuff. And after getting question after question, time and time again, God, it must be the most common question we get as to what to include in the highlight video, how to format it, how long it should be and all this kind of stuff, right? All these things, we keep getting these questions. We finally decided, you know what? It's time to create really a comprehensive video on this to show you guys exactly how to create it, what to put in it, and all this kind of stuff, all the details here, all the nuances, so you guys can create a solid one and catch that coach's attention in the future when you send out these videos. If you guys like that, if you appreciate it, if you like this kind of content, absolutely consider destroying that like button. It really goes a long way for this channel. And if you're new here and if you haven't seen these kind of videos before, if you really like this content, you're like, yes, I dig this type of information, absolutely consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss another video moving forward. All right, guys, without further ado, let's dive right into the video here. So first off, let's dive into the key principles here of how you want to format this whole highlight video. So the first things first is that the whole goal of a highlight video here is that you want to catch a coach's attention and you want to give them a good idea as to who you are as a player. That you don't want to create a video that's too short that the coach is like, okay, well, what kind of player is this? What did I just see? But you also want to create a video that's not too long that kind of bores them, right? You want one that shows, your best clips, that shows, wow, like this player is actually good. I want to see more. That's the effect that you want to have. That's the whole purpose of the highlight video, for them to be interested and for them to want to see more to potentially, sign you or commit you down the road. All right, now the second principle that kind of ties into what I just said is length. So the exact length that you want, it can vary, but I always say like about 2 minutes to 3 or 3.5 minutes long, okay? Not too short. If anything shorter than that, you won't be able to include enough clips. But if anything is longer than that, if you go 4 or 5 minutes, oftentimes the coaches will just be like, okay, I don't want to see this anymore, because the coaches are busy, right? And they have limited attention and limited time. So you don't want to make it too long either that they get annoyed of it, okay? So overall, 2 to 3.5 minutes, that usually translates to about, 12 or so clips, maybe a bit more, to 20 clips, okay? One thing I want to say about this too is you want to keep your clips as concise as possible, okay? You really start from where it's relevant, and then you end where it's relevant, where the play's over. You don't want to waste precious like 10 seconds on you doing like a dangle, snipe, and celly and showing the celly off to the coach for 10 seconds. If he sees that, he's just going to click off and he's going to say, no thanks, I don't want this player. So please don't include like 10 to 15 second celebrations on there. It's really not, not what the coach wants to see. Really include concise clips that make sense. All right, so the third principle that I want to touch on here is quality, okay? So the quality of the clips, because, it's really important. First impressions count, and to grab a coach's attention that's already limited, it really has to be standout clips that, kind of rope them in, making them want more. So the quality of your clips really matters. So this is where you're going to spend the most of your time on, okay? You're going to dig through all your games and try and find the best clips that you possibly can, okay? And this is super tedious. It's super time consuming. Nobody likes doing it, but it's extremely important, because this is really what determines whether a coach says, yes, I want to see more of you, I want to see a full game, or they just don't respond, or they say, no thanks, I'm good. The quality of your highlight video is extremely important. So finding those key clips that really sell you as a player is totally worth the time. All right, so key principle number 4 here in the highlight video is diversity. I get it. If you're a sniper, you want to show off that in a highlight video. If you're a passer, if you're a playmaker, you want to show that off in a highlight video. But don't just include a highlight video of 15 clips of you sniping bar down. Yes, that's somewhat impressive, but the coach is going to be like, hey, that's a one-dimensional player. Most coaches want to see more than that. They want to see players that can win face-offs. They want to see players that can block shots, that can finish checks, that can make good plays, that make, you can include a nice dangle if you have one. You can include a nice snipe, but you want to show a diverse array of different skills that you have to show yourself as a more complete player. A recommendation I would give is, if you're a sniper, include the first like 2-3 clips of you sniping, then include a couple where you make nice plays. If you block shots, include a couple of those, include a couple face-offs if you do that, and then end with snipes, because that's emphasizing from start to end, this is the type of player there I am, and I do all the other things in between. Okay, that's a quick bonus tip that I want to give you guys. I'm moving on to number 5 here, and this isn't really a principle, but it's more its own little set of bonus tips that I want to give you guys because they are somewhat important, you know. The first thing is that I think like before every video, it's a good idea to include kind of a summary slide, you know, a summary slide for 5 seconds, just showing your name, a picture of you, you know, your recent stats, you know, your position, all the really high yield relevant things. We can give you an example right up here of a highlight video we've created for one of our clients. The next thing I want to mention too is that music is optional. You don't need to put music in a highlight video. You can if you want to. If you do though, this is crucial. Keep it professional, please. Do not include videos swearing, saying like vulgar things, anything like that. Keep it professional. There's no like worse thing that if you have like really bad music and a coach sees that would have liked you otherwise, that would have taken you, but chose to not because of, you know, bad music or something like that. So just keep that in mind, okay? And last thing too here is that coaches understand it's not the NHL. So they know it's not going to be the highest video quality, or it's not going to be like super well done or anything like that. Just make it somewhat like, make it seem professional, clips that catch your attention, but they get like the video quality. Don't get too caught up on that because it is minor hockey or junior hockey. It's not going to be A grade video quality. So coaches know that. Just make sure one thing that they can identify you, okay? That's the biggest thing. And the best trick to do that is to have like a little arrow or a circle or anything identifying who you are, like at the beginning of the clip until the end of the clip pretty much. All right, so now let's dive into the key things to include for each position. But before we do, I want to make a quick point here. So similar to what I said before, the amount of specific clips that you include, you know, let's say it's sniping or it's playmaking or shot blocking, anything like that, it really depends on your specific style, okay? If you're a sniper, include more of those. Show that you're a diverse player, but include more of those. If you're a playmaker, include more of those. If you're a defensive defenseman that's great at closing the gap, include more of those clips, okay? That's the golden rule that you kind of want to follow when you're creating this highlight video. And again, like I said before, include the specific style clips. Like let's say you're a sniper, include the sniping at the beginning of the video, maybe a little bit in the middle, and then at the end of the video to emphasize that's the kind of player you are. So let's start with forwards here. What do you include as a forward? Well, obviously the first thing that comes to mind is goals, right? Most coaches, unless you're a defensive forward that like wins faceoffs, blocks shots and all that, and you're a power forward that's really much of a grinder, you know, unless you're that, I would say most coaches want to see forward score, okay? So goals, you can include snipes, you can include dekes, all that kind of stuff. Anything that's nice, any goals that you have, you want to include in there to sell yourself as a forward that's able to generate some offense. Next, you want to include some assists and some nice plays, right? You want to include like some 2-on-1s, a nice play that you made there, a play that you made behind the net, power play that you made, a really nice cross-ice pass in the neutral zone, anything like that, anything that shows your creativity, that shows that you have some hockey sense and all that stuff. I think those are the plays that you want to include in your highlight video. Next, one thing coaches really like to see is you winning battles in the corner and coming out with the puck and maybe making a nice play after that, or just simply winning the battle in the corner altogether is really big and something coaches love to see. Another thing is driving the net. Even if you don't score, if you're able to successfully go around the D and drive the net hard, coaches love seeing that, especially if that's something you do regularly. If you're a center, you want to include at least 2 face-off plays in there, okay? And these last, you know, maybe a couple seconds each. So you're maybe spending like 6 to 8 seconds in the whole video on the face-off plays, but at least include a couple of them to emphasize you're a center and that you're good at draws. Another thing here, more on the defensive side now, is block shots. Coaches love to see a guy be able to block shots. It shows that you're able to go on the PK. It shows that you're responsible defensively. Anything that where you're blocking shots and you're showing that you have a good defensive awareness and you're good defensively and all that stuff is really important, and coaches love to see that. So blocking shots is huge. And then the next thing too is hits. You know, you don't have to be a guy that kills guys or anything like that, but maybe include 1 or 2 clips where you hit a guy. You don't even have to knock him over. Just include clips where you're able to be physical, and between that and the blocking shots, the coach is going to say, okay, even though this guy isn't, you know, the biggest guy and he's not a grinder or a meathead or anything like that, you know, he knows that you're able to at least, you know, be responsible defensively and get that part of the game done. All right, so moving on to defensemen here. So for defensemen, there's a few main things on the offensive side that coaches want to see. First off, the most important is able to skate out of the zone, okay? To skate out of trouble and all that kind of stuff. Coaches love to see that, okay? Being able to, let's say you retrieve the puck from the corner, you skate and you're able to skate out of the zone and then make a nice first pass. That's what a coach wants to see, okay? Moving on to the second point, like I just said, first pass. If you're able to make a nice first pass, like let's say you get a D to D and you transition up the center or up the wing, if you can show multiple clips of you doing that, coaches love to see that. So skating out of the zone smoothly, and also like being able to control the puck, get out of trouble, skate out of the zone, and the first pass. Those are the biggest things that coaches love to see. see. Another thing on the offensive side that they love to see is being able to shoot through traffic. So ideally you'd have a couple goals where you showcase that you're able to shoot through traffic and score, or a couple assists where you shoot through traffic, make a nice play, and they get a rebound and score. That leads to a goal. Coaches love to see that. But even though it doesn't lead to a goal, if you have a couple nice clips of you just shooting through traffic and making opportunities happen, coaches love seeing that, and it really brings you up and really catches their attention, okay? It's really an important skill to have. So those are the top 3 skills, I would say. A couple other things. One-timers, you know, if that's your thing, if you're good on one-timers, show a couple of those. It kind of ties into being able to shoot through traffic and generating offense. So that's another thing you want to include. And last but not least here is being able to quarterback a play on the point. If that's not your thing, if you're more of a PK guy, if you're more of a defenseman, don't get too caught up on this. Even the one-timer, don't get too caught up on it. But if you're an offensive defenseman and that's how you're marketing yourself as, quarterbacking the power play, making some nice plays on the point, showing how you're relaxed and calm up there and generating offense is very important. And it's something you want to include a couple clips on in your highlight video. All right, now moving on to the defensive side for the defenseman. I would say the most important skill that you have to showcase as a defenseman on the defensive side is being able to close the gap and to box guys out in front of the net. Coaches love seeing that. So if you can close the gap around the blue line area and on a one-on-one, let's say, that's very important and is like the #1 thing that coaches look for defensively. Blue line area, closing the gap, clips like that, coaches love it, okay? Another one, boxing out in front of the net. You can only include 1 clip, I would say, on this, but boxing out in front of the net, not letting the shot go through and the goalie sees it, okay? If you can get a clip like that where you successfully box a guy out, coaches love seeing that. They know that you're physically prepared to move to their level, okay, to play for their team. Another skill coaches love seeing is 2-on-1s. Are you able to have an active stick, slide, you know, and prevent that cross-ice pass, or just, you know, let the shot through, but you really played it well? If you can get a 2-on-1 clip, you only need 1, I'd say, but if you can get a nice 2-on-1 clip where you perfectly, you know, execute the defensive play, I would say that's another big thing that coaches love seeing. Tied onto that, an active stick in the defensive zone. You know, anytime a coach sees an active stick where you successfully poke the puck away or you make a nice defensive play, anything like that, they love seeing that. They also love seeing battles in the corner that you win, okay? So you go at it for like 4 or 5 seconds, if not a bit longer, and you come out with the puck and make a nice play. Coaches love seeing that in defensemen. And now similar to the forwards too, coaches love seeing block shots, especially on the PK from defensemen, okay? If you can get a winger coming off the half wall that tries to take a shot and you block that, coaches love seeing that. They're like, yes, this is a guy that could be on my PK, or even 5-on-5. He's just good at not letting, you know, the other team score. So coaches love to see that. And the last thing here I want to say is hits. Now, you don't have to go crazy. Just like the forwards, you don't have to showcase yourself as a guy that destroys guys every play. But if you can get a couple solid hits in there where if you knock the guy over, you at least don't even have to knock him over, just separate him from the puck and retrieve the puck, even better if you can do that. If you can showcase that, coaches, honestly, if you could showcase all these things, okay, as a defenseman, a coach is gonna be like, yes, ding, 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 like this is my star defenseman that I want. So do your best. Like obviously, you know, every defenseman is different. You know, there's offensive D, more defensive D, there's hybrids, you know, that kind of are two-way. Showcase, you know, your strengths, but also try and include as many of these things as possible into your video. All right, now moving on to the last position here, which is goalies. Now, I have to admit, I'm not a goalie coach. I'm not an expert myself, but here's the common things that I've seen that really, you know, help, you know, goalies stand out in their highlight videos compared to other goalies. As a goalie, it's the hardest position to advance, so it's that much more important for you to have a solid highlight video. I would say there's 2 types of saves that you can include. So you got the standard saves and you got the harder style saves, and you want to include both. For the standard saves, the rule of thumb, the main thing that you want to include here is good rebound control. That's something coaches really look for. If you're flopping all over the place and letting rebounds go left and right, coaches don't particularly like that. They want to see good position, you making it look easy, and you know, controlling the rebound so that the team doesn't get an opportunity. Include a lot of clips. I would say, if not, maybe not half of your clips, but a good like 1/3 of your clips, if not a little bit more, of you really having good rebound control and making things look easy. All right, and now moving on to the harder style clips, right? The harder saves to make. This just shows the coach your ability to actually, you know, save the game, steal a game so you can help your team win. So I would say this is stuff like a good 2/3, if not 50% of your clips you want to include this way. The first one here that comes to mind is a 2-on-1 or 2-on-0 even, but a 2-on-1 most likely, or 3-on-1, a cross-ice pass where you slide and you make a nice glove save or a nice blocker save or anything around those lines. If you could include a couple of those, it really shows the coach that, hey, you can move side to side and that you're really dynamic and you have good power coming out of your stride and you're able to make that quick save. Similar to this one is a rebound save. So let's say player shoots it off a 2-on-1 or anything around those lines. You make a rebound and you stretch across and the player shoots on the rebound, you're able to make a save there. Those are big saves that coaches love to see as well. Another few clips you want to include is a couple breakaway or penalty shot saves, just to show that, hey, if you guys are in a close game and there's a breakaway that happens, that you can go ahead and steal the game and you have the team's back. Another one here is saving a tip. Now these are hard to find usually. They're pretty hard saves to make, but if you can make a save, it really shows that you have good reaction time if you can show a clip of you making a save off a tip. So that's a really good one to include if you can find it. The last two that come to mind here are a wraparound. It really shows again your agility to go from one side to another and your explosiveness, right? And the last one here is a one-timer. Now if you can make a good save where there's a couple passes up top, then there's a one-timer and you can make a save of you having good rebound control, which is a bonus. If you can show that, that's an awesome clip to include in your highlight video. And the last thing to include here is you playing the puck. I'm baffled by the number of goalies in their highlight videos that forget to include this. Coaches really look out for this nowadays. It's really an important part of the game and they want to see like maybe 2 or 3 clips in there of you playing the puck successfully. So don't forget to include that. All right, and that is it for the video here. I know we just covered a ton of information, so we're going to recap the main points here. The first point that I want to say is that the whole goal of the highlight video is to catch a coach's attention and to keep it. So you want to keep the video concise, high quality, and keep it diverse, okay? And the second point here is that you want to use this highlight video to showcase the unique type of player that you are, okay? So include your strengths and include the stuff that really makes you unique and that makes you, let's say if you're a power forward, that makes you showcase that you're a power forward, okay? Showcase the stuff that makes you unique in your highlight video. All right, guys, that is it for the video. If you had any questions whatsoever at all, if we didn't cover everything exhaustively, I hope we did, but if there's still questions lingering around in the air, feel free to drop a comment down below or send us a private email at info@ahadvising.com and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Also, if you like this video, if you got any kind of value out of it whatsoever, if you learned something today, if you haven't already, consider destroying that like button because it really helps out with the algorithm and it helps more people see these kind of videos so they can improve as well in their hockey careers, okay? Also too, if you're new here and if you like this kind of content, consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss another video moving forward. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you on that next one.